They erased her husband's legacy, cancelled her visa, shipped her across the ocean with nothing but a wedding photo. At 68, Evelyn Grade stood alone in Istanbul's chaos. No family, no savings, no plan. But when a street vendor handed her a single tulip-shaped glass of tea, everything changed. This is how a grandmother's broken heart rebuilt an empire of kindness. Evelyn Grade smoothed her pearl necklace one last time before entering the boardroom. The same strand her late husband Charles had given her on their 40th anniversary. At 68, she carried herself with the quiet grace that had defined her decades as Silicon Valley's most beloved philanthropist. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, unveiling plans for the Graves Foundation's new tech scholarships for grandmothers learning to code. Her voice, warm as knitted wool, filled the room. Then the doors burst open. 3 ICE agents cut through the murmuring crowd. "Evelyn Graves, you're under arrest for immigration fraud." Her teacup shattered on the marble floor. The cameras came next, always the cameras. Zooming in on her liver, spotted hands trembling as they cuffed her. On the single tear tracing her wrinkled cheek, "There's been a mistake," she whispered, her Maryland accent cracking. "My citizenship." Charles handled everything, but the headlines that night screamed "Philanthropist Queen exposed as illegal alien." The truth was buried beneath the outrage. Charles' former protege, David Wu, had uncovered a misfiled 1,987 visa application, a single unchecked box, and weaponized it. As executor of Charles' estate, David had spent months quietly transferring foundation funds before making his move. Evelyn's Park Avenue penthouse, sold. Her beloved book club's endowment, frozen. Her late husband's voting shares, voided. At the deportation hearing, David delivered the final blow via Zoom. "Mrs. Graves has been living a lie for 30 years. Her lawyer argued, her friends protested, but the gavel fell. They let her keep 2 things: the clothes she wore and the wedding photo from her purse. The flight attendants watched her shuffle down the aisle at JFK, gripping that silver frame. When Turkish immigration stamped her temporary visa, Evelyn stared at the unfamiliar script. "Welcome to Istanbul," the officer said without looking up, outside Ataturk Airport. Exhaust fumes mixed with the scent of roasted chestnuts, pulling her thin cardigan tight against the November chill. Evelyn realized her credit cards had been cancelled mid-flight, her phone confiscated as evidence, her life's work erased with a checkbox. The city unfurled before her in minarets and traffic noise. Utterly foreign, she murmured to Charles' photo, "Oh darling, I don't think we're in Maryland anymore." Evelyn wandered Sultanahmet's cobblestone streets like a ghost in a cardigan, clutching her wedding photo against her chest. The blue mosque's towering domes loomed above, magnificent yet alien. Her practical pumps, perfect for boardroom carpets, blistered her feet on ancient stones. "Yardım," she whispered to a spice vendor using one of the 3 Turkish words she knew. He smiled apologetically, mistaking her plea for help as a request for saffron. Hunger gnawed at her stomach. She'd last eaten over 24 hours ago on the plane. At a tiny baklava shop, she minded eating, but when the cashier spoke rapid Turkish, she fled in embarrassment. Night fell quickly, painting the Byzantine walls indigo. Exhaustion weighed her bones as she sank onto a bench near the Hagia Sophia. A ginger stray cat rubbed against her ankles, purring. "Hello, darling," she murmured, stroking its matted fur. Tears threatened when she remembered feeding the stray cats back in her Georgetown garden. Shivering, she unfolded the Turkish newspaper lining her suitcase. David's smirking face dominated the front page beside the headline, "Graves' Empire Purged of Fraudster." She covered it with Charles' photo. Around midnight, rain began pattering on the cobblestones. Evelyn huddled under a souvenir stall's awning, her cardigan soaked through. 9, came a voice like gravel wrapped in velvet. An elderly man in a weathered apron stood holding a tulip glass of steaming K. His name tag read Mehmet. Evelyn shook her head. "No lira." Mehmet licked his tongue, pushing the glass into her hands. "Jürgen," he said, pointing at her tired eyes. The porcelain warmed her wrinkled fingers. "The first kindness since landing." He gestured to his tiny K shop across the square, its windows glowing amber. "Sleep," he said slowly, mimicking resting his head on hands. Evelyn hesitated, but the cat nudged her forward. Inside smelled of bergamot and wood smoke. Mehmet cleared tops from a corner booth, laying down a kiln pillow. As Evelyn curled up, rain drumming the roof, she whispered to Charles' photo, "We'll be all right, won't we?" Outside, the call to prayer echoed through the storm, weaving with the stray cat's purrs into an unexpected lullaby. Evelyn woke to sunlight filtering through K glasses strung like jewels along Mehmet's shop window. Her stiff joints protested as she sat up, the scent of simmering apple tea wrapping around her like a shawl. "Günaydın," Mehmet greeted, placing before her a porcelain plate of gazlem, the spinach-filled flatbread still steaming. When she reached for her empty purse, he waved her hand away. "Yok," he said firmly, "no payment." That first day, Evelyn repaid him by meticulously organizing his spice jars, arranging them by color like a sunset captured in glass. The next morning, she washed tubs until they gleamed, her wedding band linking against porcelain. By week's end, she began sketching ideas in the margins of Turkish newspapers, designs for cozy window seats, Ideas for urban-fused teas, Mehmet watched, nodding slowly, on rainy afternoons. Evelyn taught him phrases like mind the step for his elderly customers. He countered with Turkish lessons, laughing when her tongue tangled around teşekkür ederim. One evening she noticed Mehmet squinting at supplier invoices. "May I?" she asked, reaching for her reading glasses. Soon she'd streamlined his accounts using skills honed over decades managing Charles' philanthropic budgets. That's how Mehmet Nine's Kayeve was born, the name painted in Evelyn's elegant script above the door. Nine meaning grandmother in Turkish. Tourists began lingering over her specialty blends, rose-tip memory tea, mint renewal infusions. Locals came for her patient ear and perfect pouring technique. Her arthritis made holding the heavy Idanlik difficult, but Mehmet fitted the pot with ergonomic handles carved from olive wood. When David Wu's lawyers sent eviction papers for her Georgetown home, Evelyn was too busy blending pomegranate tea to open the envelope. That night, writing recipes in her notebook, the back pages still holding Charles' love letters, she realized Istanbul's spices had seeped into her grieving heart. The shop bell jingled. A British tourist frowned at his phone. The navigation's confused us again. Evelyn peered at the cracked screen. Why, this is simple, dear. You need. Her wrinkled fingers flew across the map app, realigning digital pathways. The family gasped as routes clarified. Mehmet caught her eye. Smiling. "9, he said, tapping his temple. "Computer." Evelyn flushed, suddenly realizing her mind was still sharp as ever. That night, she unearthed her old iPad from her suitcase, whispering, "Charles, I think we're not done yet." Word spread through Sultanahmet about the silver-haired tea grandma who could fix phones between pourings. Students brought crashed laptops to the K shop, watching in awe as Evelyn guided them through repairs with the patience of someone who'd taught grandchildren to tie shoes. "Now darling, the charging port just needs gentle encouragement like coaxing a shy cat," she'd murmur, wielding a toothpick like a wand. Mehmet cleared a corner booth she dubbed the Fix-It Nook, its shelves soon overflowing with donated gadgets awaiting resurrection. When Evelyn helped a young mother recover photos of her late father from a waterlogged phone, the woman kissed her cheeks tearfully, leaving a jar of homemade cherry jam as payment. That jam became the first item in Evelyn's kindness exchange, a shelf where tech help was bartered for hugs, language lessons, or handwritten recipes. By winter, Nine's tech teas became the neighborhood's worst-kept secret. Turkish grandmothers arrived arm in arm, giggling as Evelyn taught them WhatsApp to video chat with grandchildren abroad. She created laminated pictogram guides for Mehmet to reference when she ran errands, though he still preferred shouting questions across the square. The real transformation began when 17-year-old Aylin started lingering outside, her eyes red from crying. Her university dreams had crumbled when her family couldn't afford a laptop for online courses. "Come inside, dear," Evelyn beckoned, pushing a cinnamon tea across the table. 2 hours later, Aylin left hugging a refurbished laptop and Evelyn's promise, "Bring me others like you." Soon, the K-shop's back room buzzed with teens learning coding basics between tea services. Evelyn taught Python like she'd once taught needlepoint, with mnemonics involving cats and garden metaphors. When the local newspaper featured the Silicon Grandma of Sultanahmet, David Wu's lawyers sent a scandalous letter claiming trademark infringement on the Graves Foundation name. Evelyn responded by baking them orange blossom biscuits shipped to California with a handwritten note: "Kindness isn't trademarked." David. That month, Mehmet hung new letters beside their shop sign, Nine's Code K Collective. At night, Evelyn sketched plans for an app matching retired tech experts with students needing mentors. Her wedding photo watched from the counter, Charles' smile seeming to whisper, "I always believed in you, Sevi." 3 years later, Evelyn stood on the K-shop's roof terrace, the Bosphorus glittering below. Her Code K Collective now filled 3 floors with the hum of teenagers and retirees collaborating. That morning's mail had brought an embossed invitation: "The Graves Foundation requests the honor of your presence." David Wu, facing embezzlement charges, had been removed from Charles' legacy. The board wanted Evelyn's guidance restoring original values. She tucked the invitation beside Mehmet's first teacup, kept as a reminder of beginnings. "Will you go?" Aylin asked, now their lead developer. Evelyn watched Mehmet teaching 2 Syrian refugees to steam milk for lads. "I already am home," she murmured, yet when the foundation sent a private jet, curiosity compelled her. Walking through Graves Foundation headquarters felt surreal. The same marble lobby where she'd hosted charity galas now displayed her CAP's impact stats for 382 elderly tech mentors matched worldwide. David was sat hunched in the back during her speech, awaiting trial. Evelyn stepped to the podium, her Istanbul embroidered shawl drawing whispers. "They called me illegal," she began, quieting the room, "an imposter. But Istanbul taught me citizenship isn't paperwork, it's how you serve your community." She unveiled plans for Nine's global network, connecting displaced elders with mentorship opportunities. During Q&A, David rushed the stage. Sichkayarich intervened, but Evelyn waved them back. "Let him speak." "I'm sorry," he choked out, tears staining his Ditsader shirt. Evelyn handed him a handkerchief embroidered with K leaves. "Start with small kindnesses, David, they ripple." Returning to Istanbul, she found Mehmet hanging new signage 9 Charles Code K. He'd framed Charles' photo beside the baklava display. That night, as the call to prayer mingled with teenagers debugging apps below, Evelyn FaceTimed her great-granddaughter. "Tell me about your garden, Grammy," the child begged. Evelyn panned her camera across the terrace where Jasmine climbed trellises beside server racks. "Well, darling, it's not the roses we left behind." A stray cat purred against her ankle. "But my goodness, how it's bloomed." In the quiet that followed, Evelyn felt Charles' presence like sunlight through tops warm, golden and steeped in peace.